Right. Okay. I think we're ready to get going. I'm not sure about starting the stream super early, like I did. I'm not sure. What does everyone think? Because I started the stream like 10 minutes ago and it's just a blank screen. And the thing is, I don't know how many people have just arrived and left in that time. There seem to have been a few people who've just turned up and left. Also, making a video, it seems to make more sense to not start super early, because otherwise there won't be 10 minutes of silence, essentially. But anyway, it's 7 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the US, and so we can start streaming, start doing some coding. So last time we got insertion working. Sorry, replacing nodes. So we could, hold on, what did happen last time? No, okay, I remember now. So last stream we got the ability to move the cursor around within a document, which is, as far as Sapling is concerned, a tree. And what I did off camera, I guess, over the last week was adding the ability to replace nodes. So I could say at true, we could say, I don't know, R for replace, and then an object, and it would replace this. We could undo that to get back to where we were. And we could replace with, I don't know, true again, and now that works. Also, undo, when you make a change, Sapling will also save the position of the cursor as well along with that, which I think is what Vim does. If you make a change, like go and write some more code, like make a function, and then we delete this code, move it somewhere else, and we undo, then it moves the cursor back to the location of the change. So I've just implemented that in Sapling. It's quite straightforward. You just save the location of the cursor along with each change, and then when you undo, just replace that cursor. And the replacing code is quite interesting, and it has some weird effects, which is that I thought I set it up in such a way that you would not be able to do a replace that could make the code invalid, because not every JSON tree is automatically valid. There are certain rules that you have to obey. For example, this object here, to be more precise, all the children of a JSON object have to be key value pairs. And the moment they are, but Sapling won't stop you replacing this with a string, which now is just invalid JSON. So we'd like this not to be allowed. Also, the left-hand side, so the key of a key value pair has to be a string according to the JSON specification. So, but we can replace this with true. And then this is now invalid. And it would be nice if Sapling were to prevent you, maybe like log an error or a warning if you try and do something, like it does if you try and move out of the screen. So that's as far as I got. I also have a callback in editor. There is code for inserting. So we can say I, and then it waits for a node, and let's say we want to insert an object. And I think it's printed this off the end, but I think if we try and insert an object. Okay, so it does think that we can insert stuff, but we can't because I haven't implemented the code yet. If there's somewhere in here, there's yeah, insert child. Here we go. So oh, okay. So it doesn't even call. So this is the code that's running. This is the warning that we get. So it says inserting with O, that corresponds to this. And then, oops, this is the warning. But what we need to do is we need to actually say insert child here. Actually, how does this work? I think we need to get the cursor, and then we need to, so we need to know what node we have to insert. So basically we have to do a lookup. If I were to say insert an object, then I'd want that to, it needs to do a lookup and say, oh, well, what I actually typed was IO. Well, O corresponds to an object, so I need to create a new empty object and return that. And I think there should be a way of doing this, I think, from char, here we go, that takes a character, and if it's valid, then we yeah, so if this is a from char, if the character is valid, then it returns the node that corresponds to that. So for example, for O, from char of just O would return an empty object, otherwise it will return none. So we want to pass the char into here. We also want to check that this is valid, because I don't think so I don't want to rely on is insert char. So technically, if this function returns true, so if the cursor has said that the thing we're inserting is valid to insert, then it kind of makes sense that converting that character should return a valid value. But I suspect that unwrapping here is not terribly safe, because like we don't want the editor to just crash when we're using it. That's not helpful to anyone. So let's just unwrap this. Say if there's some thing, Vims, so if let some node equals this, then we should insert the node. And then just so that we get some warnings, we should also log a warning here. Char, and then whatever the char is does not. Yeah, is not a valid node char. That will do for now. Or maybe correspond node. Okay, right. So I think at this point Sapling will crash if I try and insert anything. If we do insert object, it will crash. Okay. And oh, that's annoying. And if we pipe the output, so we tell Sapling to capture the error, whatever was printed as standard error, and then we do an insert. That's IO, and then we see that it's panicked with not implemented somewhere in the code, and that's in editable tree dag. Oh, the lines are wrapping. That's a trade-off between big code and having the code big and the lines wrap, or just having it smaller. Insert child, here we go. This is where we need some code. I'm going to make the code a bit smaller so that we can actually see what's going on. This is the code for replacing characters, and it has a lot of comments, because making a change, the way Sapling is implemented, is not particularly... it's a bit interesting, because Sapling stores all of the nodes in the syntax tree as immutable, because they're all allocated by the arena allocator. And the only way you can allocate a node is to use this function, which returns only an immutable reference. So it allocates it into the memory and says, okay, here's an immutable node reference to it. So we can't actually change any nodes in the syntax tree. So the only way we can actually make a change, or something that looks like a change, is to add nodes to the arena. This is very similar to a Git rebase, for anyone who's watching and has used Git before. So what we do is this is stuff that would happen at the start of any change. We just make sure that we prevent undo from being strange, and we just delete any future changes that we've undone over and are replacing. So that's what this bit does. The next bit is that we walk. So what we need to do is we need to somehow change something in the tree without actually changing any values that we already have. So the way this works is that we add the value we've changed, and then we kind of rewire a new tree that's almost exactly the same as the first, but is actually different nodes. And then we now have two different tree roots in the arena. We have the first one, which is our old change and what was the root of the tree. And then we have the new one, which is almost identical to the first one, except that it will have different children at each step. And that's basically what this code is doing. It figures out, it walks down the path to the cursor, keeps track of all of the nodes that we're going to have to clone. Then it allocates the node, the thing we're replacing here, and then just in reverse, it steps up the tree and does the cloning. And then here at the end, we just add the new tree to the history so that we can undo back. And the thing is, a lot of this code is not really specific to replacing the cursor. This is very similar to inserting. A lot of the stuff, for example, we're always going to have to rewire the tree back up. Also, just deleting the history that we're overwriting is also something that we're going to have to do. So for the time being, I'm just going to copy the code. We should, at some point, if we have enough time today, I might do this. We should refactor this code. Because a lot of the code, the more different ways we can edit the syntax tree, the more copies of this code we'll end up with. So we ought to just move it into separate functions and clear things up a little bit. If we boot up Sapling, what we'd ideally like to do, let's say we replaced this with an array. What we'd ideally like to do is to be able to insert into the array. So we'd say I, and then, I don't know, some object. And what we'd ideally like to do is we need to allocate the new object as a child of this, then insert it as probably the last, I think, child of its parent, which is the node that we're currently selected. So we need to step down a level with the cursor to a node that doesn't exist yet. Then we need to create that node and then create a new parent for it that has one extra child than the old one, and then rewire back until we get to the root. So what would be the simplest way of doing that, I wonder? And we need to walk down to the cursor. So this is this will be the same. This is just figuring out. This is stepping down every node from the root until we reach the cursor. And in this case, and for the replacing the cursor, we're going to replace the cursor and not clone it. So that's what the this line here does. It pops the last value off the end of that vector, because the last value of that vector is going to be the cursor, so we don't need it. However, we are going to replace the vector. So no, I think we need this. I'll keep it here for the time being. So I think we need this line as well. So we need to allocate the new node. I've misrenamed the variable. Why do we need that mutable? Where is that used? Okay, because node is the variable that we track. New child node. So now what we do want to do is we want to replace the cursor. We want to clone a new node that has this as an extra child. So we do want this, but we need to move it somewhere else. Okay, so let's get some code down. So I think we shouldn't pop this yet because we want the value that we're going to get. So we want to clone the node that's currently the cursor. So once we clone it, we can clone it to get a mutable value. So now we can edit the cursor. Hold on, let me explain better what we're doing. So imagine we have an array with another array as the child, and then we have, I don't know, true, false as children of this. And let's say that the user has this array selected, and they want to insert something. So we need to, let's say they insert false, or they insert another empty array, right? So what we want to end up with is this, except that we want to move the cursor down a step so that it points at the array. However, we can't actually do that because these two nodes they have their children baked into them. And so this will store a pointer, or this node, the root, will store a reference to its child, which is the one we want to change. But we can't change it because we only have a mutable reference. So in order to add this, we need to first clone the node under the cursor, which is what we're going to do here. So we're going to clone the node under the cursor and add the new child and its children. Yeah. So it's at this point that we need to pop. So let new cursor. So the new cursor is going to be the old cursor, and the old cursor is the node to clone dot pop, because it's the last value. as we walk down from the root to the cursor, the last value is the cursor that we want to clone. So we want to clone this. We don't need this anymore. So now with this new cursor, we want to add a child to the end of this. And we would hope that at this point, we would hope that Sapling hasn't tried to insert into true or something, because true should have no insertable characters. So at this point, we can basically guarantee that new cursor should accept a new child. But I'm pretty sure we can't. There's nothing in the definition of the syntax tree specification that allows us to add a child. Because I think the only thing we can do is to get a mutable slice of the children. But with a mutable slice, you're not allowed to. You can't make that slice longer. And this will be a slice from a vector in anything that you can add children to. But what would be ideal is if we could just tell that node to say add another child, and not worry about the fact that however it's stored in memory. We shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm just going to leave it to do make this comment better. Is the stream still running? I hope it is. I should probably check, considering that it is pretty weird sometimes, and my internet just crashes a lot. Okay, it is still running. Right, so we need to add a new child, this node. I'll add a new child to the end of the list of children of this node. That's a very unreadable comment, but it's fine. It will do for now. Let's add child. And what does this do? Well, it takes a mutable value reference to itself. So we need to change the node, and it takes also the new node. And we say that we assert this is already allocated. So it's a pointer to another node of the same type. And the node is allocated in the arena. So we can just assert that this pointer, this reference is going to live long enough. And then what we return, we should probably return bool in case, and then we say returning false if the node cannot take any more children. So this is just like a get out clause for if the value is true or false or something like that, that just cannot have children, you can't insert into it either. Hold on, let me get myself a drink. I was talking to some friends about Sapling this afternoon, so I spent a lot of time today talking. My voice is kind of dying. Hopefully it will last out the stream. So now we need to implement this method, which I'm just going to copy. We need to edit it for the JSON before we can actually use it. We need to actually write some code for it. Yes. So I'm hoping that we shouldn't even be able to. An error would be much better. But I'm thinking that at this point, if a node didn't want to be inserted into, I'm pretty sure that we shouldn't be able to get here in the first place, because we only, in the editor, actually, yes, no, it is just a good idea to return an error, because things might go wrong. Things go wrong. an amazing amount. That is a good shout. So instead of this, we're going to return result. And then, right, so if everything's successful, we won't return anything. And otherwise, how should we do this? We can either return a boxed error, which is kind of just like super generic, or we just return, I don't know, a string, maybe, with an error message. Probably the simplest way. We could also allow another type definition of insert error, which has to be an error. Hold on, what? Is it in? Oh, there, here we go. Okay. We got result. And then this will return whatever error type this particular implementer specified. So now here we're going to add this, but it can't do anything yet because we haven't told it what type to use. I'm fairly sure, I'm pretty new to Rust's error handling, but I'm pretty sure strings implement error. Nice, cool. Good that you like it. I'm pretty new to the Rust way of writing code, so and I feel like the more times I try and hack things inside a text editor, the more likely it is that something will go wrong. So what type can we have? What did I even call that? It was insert error. There we go. Insert error. And this is string. Hopefully that checks out. No, why is string not implementing error? Oh well. No matter, I'll just leave it as to do, and then the compiler will tell me. Ooh. Let me, can I use a cheeky keyboard shortcut? Okay. So oh, that's nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good shout. Anyhow, what? Which window are we at? Ah, 1.0. Oh, we ought to lock it. What was it? The version 1.0.34. There we go. Let's just get Rust to. Oh, yes. But why? Why? This is. Yeah, no, I definitely, I think. Oh, good. Here we go. Okay, so now the autocomplete will work. Definitely, new types would be much more useful, but for the time being, like, this is an error we don't expect to hit. If we do hit it, then anyhow we'll just make a nice error of it. Alright, so we need to. I'm just gonna overwrite this with AST mod, and this is going to be anyhow result, and then it's not going to return anything. I think this is correct. At any rate, this will make this also have to be anyhow. Oh, now we don't need this type definition either. No, so I think yes, we do want this type definition. Undo. So we want this, but we can just say that this is going to return anyhow error as the error type. Hopefully that should, excuse me, what? Why is that? Why is standard error not? Oh, hold on, you couldn't see the code. I keep forgetting to do that. Okay. Well, anyway. Wow, classic. But yeah, so it should be a result of this. I know, no, the code not being on the screen was definitely not intentional. If that does happen, that will happen quite a lot. So it seems that anyhow error is not a, doesn't implement standard error, which is, seems weird, right? Because can I get structs error? Oh wow, it can be like oh, that's right, it doesn't implement error. Why? Oh, it's a wrapper. Okay. Was that right? Yeah, but oh, STD error for what? Oh, of course, yeah. Isn't that because of the wow. Well, for the time being, we can just, can we do a new type? For the time being, we could just like force it to return anyhow result with nothing, because is that okay? You know what? Let's just make a new type. I think that's just the easiest way of doing it. I'm fairly sure we're not going to have to implement this multiple times. I think we're probably, as far as I can tell, I think eventually Sapling will only have one structure that implements AST, and at which point we can just remove everything. So I don't think we're going to have to write this lots of times. Let's just create, I don't know what the convention is for putting errors. What should we encapsulate? I think we should, we can just have it be empty, I think. And then want to implement standard error for insert error. Hold on, what does... This doesn't have any... Oh, we need to implement debug. Okay. Debug, insert error. I feel like that making... So, yeah, in response to the having a load of derive macros. Yeah, I think that it will take just as long to... oh yeah, so we can definitely derive, debug, clone, copy, hash. Just because why not? And now we only need display, and we do want display to do something interesting because we want this to turn into a helpful error message. Right, it's right, isn't it? I can never remember how this works. I think it's right F and then some string literal, which I believe is, we should just say something like cannot insert node. I think this is the most information we have, right? I think this should work. Yeah, okay. Because I don't really want to pass... Actually, we could pass the references, right? We could store a reference in here to which nodes we were storing. I think that would probably make more sense. The parent. No, but these are super, have lots of, now I have to do a load of stuff like this. I'm just unconvinced that we need this many lifetimes. That's the thing. You know what? This error shouldn't even exist. We're just going to, we shouldn't even be able to reach this. Yeah, so arena, yeah, errors, anything with references that are just created ad hoc are quite annoying in Rust. The arena is essentially static for the purposes of the code, because in the main function, the very first thing that's done, that the sapling does on startup, is that the arena is created. And then kind of just implicitly in the drop code, there'll just be a whole load of drop code at the bottom here. And things are dropped in the opposite order that they're created. So the very last thing that program will do is to drop the arena. Yes, we are. We are using an arena allocator. We're using a slightly custom one so far, because I'd quite like to, that's a point. That is a point. I'll just show you the arena. I think I showed it earlier in the stream. So it's essentially a wrapper on typed arena from the crate typed arena, except that the only way you can allocate, allocation only returns an immutable reference, because that way you can clone. We don't want to be able to change nodes once they've been allocated, because if you're not allowed to clone if you're not allowed to mutate data, then suddenly you can do a whole load of optimizations about that. So I just made a new arena that it's pretty much a wrapper, and the only thing it does is to downcast, or maybe not downcast, but it turns the mutable reference into an immutable one, so it can be copied. Also, we want to support deallocation as well at some point, because otherwise Sapling will just use more and more and more memory, because it won't be able to remove things that won't be used anymore. Alright, so we could just put a string in here. Oh, and it can't be copied. That's okay. And then we just say, just format, oops, self.0. I think that should make this bit of code happy. I'll just leave it to do for after the stream. Okay. I mean, yeah, so Sapling already allocates quite a lot of memory. That will probably need to be fixed in the future. Insert error. Wow, that looks... It's very weird, like the whole type insert error equals insert error. Oh, yeah, I mean, hashing error things. I suppose, yeah, we ought to do that. Yeah, because now it's encapsulating a string. We should definitely fix that. What we're doing. Okay, so result of either nothing or insert error. Oh, okay, excellent. Now we can actually write some stuff. So what we want to do is we want to match self, so we can just knock off all the cases. True, false. So if it's either of true, false, or string. Yeah, I know. It's like, it definitely has to be fine, but it just looks funny that thing is like, it's just, if that were in maths and there weren't any like different scoping rules for both sides of the equation, that equals sign, then it would just be like kind of a silly thing to write. Like, obviously insert error is equal to insert error. But yes, it is okay. And then if we do this, we return an error of, we can't construct. Yeah, we should probably add a constructor for this whilst we're here. Let's just create two windows. Import insert error. I know that we can just instantiate it easily anyway. Yeah, let's... I never know how from works, so I'm just going to say from str message str, because we're only going to pass it string slices anyway. Oh, I think this might not be necessary. I'm going to keep it for now. So we're going to make an insert error, and inside is the format of cannot insert node. Hold on, let's save. Yeah, and we get the reformatting. So what do we want to say? We want to say we want to cannot insert the child node into this. So new node self. Oh yeah, we can only. Maybe we ought to just. Does this work? Yes. Okay. So that does work. I think those are the only things that you can't insert into. Oh yeah, fields. JSON object fields, you can't as well. So field. Oh, we're missing a match arm. Oh, right, because now we're at JSON object. And yeah, so this is going to be an object, and it keeps a mutable list of its children. So this will be fields. And in this case, we want to push the new node. Hopefully that will be borrowed as mutable. Ah, yes, it will push. Okay. We want to push the new node onto it. And then obviously we want to return OK. And then, in fact, we ought to just verify that the new node is in fact a field, because we shouldn't be able to insert that. We shouldn't be able to insert anything other than a field into a JSON object. But that's, we need to fix all of the weird issues with that anyway. So array children. This cannot fail. Well, I mean, unless we have to reallocate the vector and run out of memory or something silly like that. But that will be a panic. This either panics or does what we want it to. And that's everything. And we don't need this. So that's all good. You guys can see the code. Yeah, you can. Okay. So does this compile yet? Oh, it compiles. I wonder what it does. Can we? Oh no, it won't do anything useful because we haven't finished the glue code yet. So where was the thing? It was editable tree DAG, wasn't it? Yeah, here we go. So this is the code that would run and do nothing as far as Sapling is concerned. Or as far as the user is concerned. The user won't see any change from this code. It will have allocated some memory, but that's it. So what we've got is we've got the new child node and we've got the new cursor. And what we want to do is we want to, hold on, how did that get rid of the, okay. Is it happy now? Yeah, okay. So we want to add new child node to the new cursor. Or I can't type this fast. To the cloned to the children. So I wonder if you intend to reuse the insert function for inserting at the cursor. You need position, as in, yeah, so that there's definitely a lot of duplicated functionality between these two, between inserting children and replacing children. Yes. Oh, no. Sorry. Yes, I understand. I understand the question now. So, yes, we need a better way than only being able to insert at the end. I feel like what it should do is, if, for example, if you insert, just say, if you were just inserting at the root, then it should insert into the children list, right? Because this is an array. But if you try and insert here, then it should insert in front of the current node. But for the time being, that's a bit complicated. We have to check whether the cursor can have children, and if it can't, we just move up a step. We could do that potentially, yeah. Because the current behavior of just inserting at the end is just super limiting. People want to be able to insert anywhere. You could we could envision doing something like the way Vim can do inserting 3 of something. We could do counts like that, but I'd quite like, for those who aren't familiar, if you do, say, so suppose I make a whole load of empty lines and I want to delete them, then I can say, so K is J, we press J to move down. So in Vim, you can precede any keyboard shortcut with a number, and then it will say, and then it will repeat that keyboard shortcut that number of times. So if I want to go down 3 lines, then I can say 3, and notice the little 3 appears here, to say Vim is waiting for something. 3J, which will jump 3 lines. And so if I want to delete those 3 lines, then I can say something like D3J, which instantly deletes 3 lines, which is very helpful. But I think saying like insert 3 objects, like I30, should say insert 3 objects rather than insert into the 3rd index. I'm not sure. We can see how it feels once we've got something vaguely working. So add the new child to the children of the cloned cursor. Let's call this cloned cursor. And now we've got a function to do this. We can just say add what cloned cursor dot add child. I thought this was a thing. Hold on, how is... because this is an option. We need to unwrap. And we can guarantee, let's just say it, just check. So unwrapping should be okay because the node iterator, the first node it returns is always the root that you gave it, because this whole line is stepping down from the root downwards. So there's always going to be at least one reference in nodes to clone. So therefore popping will always return a value. So unwrapping here is fine because, what function is it called? It is, cursor path. Cursor path as a thing dot node iter will always return 1 value. So then now we can just, as a sanity check, that the unwrap shouldn't fail. So the cloned cursor, we now need to add child, and now our function exists. That's great. And we add the new child node. Oh, convenient. Okay. Well, so now, now insert child ought to return an error. I'm never sure what to do about returning errors because this has to return result unit. So it either returns nothing or actually we could be snazzy about this because if we return from this either the new root node or an error, just like for the time being, we'll do that. That's a compiler error, I know. And then we can just assert that because all of this code has to be run every time there's a change, and the code of just updating the history also has to be done every change. So it makes sense if we just return, oh, here's the new root node, and we do that for every time. Every time there's any kind of change, we have this pattern. And we could say it's a din error. But I don't particularly like doing this because you can't really match on the, there's probably something I'm missing here, but you can't match on it. But what we can guarantee, we are always going to return node.insert error. right? Is that the case? No, so I think this could fail in other ways. So we're just gonna drop to boxed in error, I think. Is this valid? Let's just add. Self.insert error. But we could, I guess. Yeah, so I think that seems reasonable. So equals node.insert error. But this is implementing a trait, so we've got to fix we've got to go to editable tree mod, and we need to change the function signature as well. Oops, let's just use error here, and then we need a type insert error, which is some kind of child of, oh wait, no, we've imported it already, error, which is an error. And then insert child has to return result of a node okay. Is this no? So I think this at the yeah. So at the trait level, what the editor class, the editor structure doesn't really want to see. It doesn't want to know the internal details of how this works. So I think we can just here. We can save our magic for another day. Because I expect we're going to have a lot of functions that all return in the same way. Oh yeah, this is probably unhappy. What was this? Insert child. Right. Okay, and it's complaining that we never insert anything. So we can just get an error like this. And so, okay, so we've got the new cloned cursor, and now we're just cloning everything back up. We've also popped the cursor off the list, so everything in here are nodes that we need to clone. So we can just copy this code. In fact, it needs to run immutable reference back up the tree. So then the current node is the cloned cursor. And so this is a code section, clone every. Oh wait, no, we've got this. This comment can be here. Because this is describing how the nodes are immutable. Hold on, so what's happening here? Child node. Oh yes, because we haven't actually allocated the cloned cursor yet. So we need to say this is a self.arena.allocate cloned cursor. And now everything should stop complaining. So this is vaguely, just as a sanity check, we have allocated the right number of nodes, right? Because we have to insert a node, then we change the cursor, which is popped off nodes here, and then we allocate everything else. Okay, I think that's okay. And then once we get to the end, everything's okay. So we just return that. Does this work now? Right, what happens? Oh my god, what? It actually works. Okay. Sorry, it is always a surprise when code actually works the first time. Thinking about it, we need a way to delete nodes now. But we can go and replace this with something. What? Okay, so this is strange. So if I say if to insert false into this object, it says cannot replace node with f. What? What if I do it in here? I bet this is just a mistake in my... Ooh, it returns an error that must be used. That's nice. Oh, look, yes, this should say insert. That's quite nice, actually, because Sapling's preventing us from doing that. It's preventing us from inserting something that isn't valid. So that doesn't work, but inserting false here does. Also, you can see that the reason why the nodes change color is that the color is determined by it's determined by the hash of that node and all of its children. So that's why true is always the same color, false is always the same color. But because when you make a change, once you make a change to anywhere in the tree, say I just replace this with false, then the root node is now a different node, so it changes color. That's what's happening there. This is just a nice visualization of where the nodes are on the screen. Ideally, a sapling would have proper syntax highlighting, in which case these you wouldn't notice because an array is still an array, regardless of what children it has. But this is quite cool. So we can insert an array, and then inside this we can also insert true. Ha ha. Oh, and also we should probably, is that, yeah, what do you think, what do we think should happen? It is interesting. It was just quite easy to do, and before I got the cursor code working, it was quite a nice way to check that the Sapling knew which bits of the screen it was, which bits of the text were belonging to which element nodes. I could definitely do with fixing, but for the time being, it's convenient for development because it's very easy to see where things are. So we can keep inserting, right? I think. Just make a whole load of false things. Except we can't delete. That's not great. Yeah, so I wonder if you try and insert into a... oh, wait, no, there's more complexity to inserting into an... so inserting into an object requires allocating more than one node, because the field can't exist without two children. So objects will probably require special treatment. For the time being, my voice is getting tired, and I haven't had dinner yet, and it's getting quite late in the UK. So I'm probably going to stop the stream soon, because we have made some progress. It's just that we need to that will, fixing how that will work will require a lot of thought. So for the time being, I think we've made some progress. I'm not sure whether, so I feel like should inserting move the cursor? That's the question, really. So if I insert, I don't know, what else can we insert? We can insert a string, there we go. Inserting a string currently just keeps the cursor in the same place. I think that's probably more, that seems to make more sense, because if we do something like, if counts were implemented, then we could say something like insert 3 strings, and we would expect them to all insert together. So we'd end up, we'd want the same effect as insert string, insert string, insert string. We don't want the effect that, I guess him is Vim, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. What is... but I mean, in Vim, you can't really insert things in Vim. I feel like this functionality is not in Vim. I'm just going to undo a load so that we actually have something decent to work with. So I feel like there is... this is a bit of an open question. Oops. So also, let's just close this to clear the log. What happens if we try and insert into false or into a Boolean? Okay, so it does know that it knows that true can't have any short run, but it's not tripping our custom thing. So yeah, I think we could probably do we could maybe do it like the way, yeah, I feel like there are lots of options for how to insert things. I'm honestly, I don't think we could, one, I'm not sure if there is even a, oh, yes, that makes, like, I like the using I and A like Vim does. I think that would make more sense. We could probably attempt to implement that, to be honest. Although, let's just fix for the timing, let's just make, what should we do here? Oh yeah, so if there's some error, oh yeah, if I haven't lost the point that about I and A. I just want to fix this error message. Oh, so this should be else. Otherwise, we want to log a warning with the error. Just e.0, I think. Oh, equals city. Oh, that doesn't work, so we need to format E. Okay. We're very unlikely to get that. Actually, in fact, I think this should be an error. Because if this error actually happens, then something's gone wrong. So, okay, so now we have the option to do insert after or before. I think I'm not going to do that on stream. That's not, I don't think it's super difficult. We just need to, in the AST, we'd, oh, yes, we could. What would, why O? I'm not really sure. Actually, I don't even know why O is a thing. Like, why O is the key binding in Vim. So we could use O. O would make sense, to be honest. In fact, we could just do this. Where's the key binding? Here we go, default key map. Where's the insert child? So, okay, have O for insert child. I think that does feel, that feels better coming from Vim. I still feel like we should be able to specify, there should be some way of specifying where we want to insert. Although, to be honest, if you're going to do that, you might as well move the cursor to where you want to insert, and then insert. So I reckon that's probably something. No, where were we? Yeah, so I think insert child should have to yeah, so we need another function in here. Cool. So I think I'm not going to do the inserting from children bit now. I'm too tired to keep streaming for much longer. But if people want to do that as a PR, as a pull request, then you'd be welcome to. I'm not sure how much change would have to be done. We'd need to add to the syntax tree thing. Add child would have to have an index. And then we'd have more like bounds checking and stuff. But I think that would probably be doable. I'd probably do that during the week. And then make deleting nodes the next stream. But I think for the time being, for this stream anyway, we've done something useful. We can now insert stuff. Admittedly, it's fairly limited, but nonetheless, it's still a step forward. I think. When you can actually start to do something vaguely interesting with Sapling, which is something I thought would not happen. Oops. Oh, it's quite difficult to use right now. Oh. Cool. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I think I might call it there. I could do, like, normally I would finish by making a pull request, but I think there's some cleanup that's needed off camera, or off camera to do it, like fixing comments and stuff. I found so many grammatical errors in the last thing I did on stream that I've just kind of, like, I know it's a nice way to finish stream by merging a pull request, but I think I need to, I need to clean-headedly look at the code before merging it. But cool, I think that's everything. What do you guys think, last question, of starting the stream super early and like, so starting the broadcast early and then coming on later? Is that useful? I quite like it as because it means I don't tend to rush starting the stream. I tend to get everything set up early, which as a person I'm not like, I won't do stuff early unless there's an actual reason for it. But I'm not sure if that would not be useful, then if it's a not useful thing to do, then I won't do it. But if it's just like ambivalent, then I will keep doing it. No one seems to have replied, and I think that the start of that ramble has been broadcast. So, okay, so I think I'm gonna call the stream there, I reckon. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I think it was 10 minutes today, which I think was too long. I think 5 minutes is good to aim for. The thing is, I usually post a link on Reddit, and I feel like having more warning is perhaps useful. I don't know, because I feel like someone approaching that link, that post, and having a link to click on, people are probably more likely to hang around if they click on the link and it takes them to a stream that's already happening rather than just a blank screen. Oh, cool. 5 minutes is a good length of time. I think also if something goes wrong with OBS or something like that, then it's useful to have some time to fix things. Oh, nice. I feel like that makes me so happy that you put the time into the calendar. Oh, I feel like an actual event. Anyway, cool. On that note, I think I'm gonna call it for this week. I will probably see all you guys next week. So, bye.